Providence Municipal Court. A corporate executive dressed in a $2,000 suit steps into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, carrying an air of confidence that immediately commands attention. She's there for a simple speeding violation, something that should take just 5 minutes, pay a minor fine, and return her to her office life without incident. But for 42-year-old Jennifer Hartwell, that day takes a turn she'll never forget. As Judge Caprio addresses her, calmly, respectfully, and with patience, Jennifer makes a choice that will follow her for years. In a moment of defiance and poor judgment, she lifts her hand and gives Judge Frank Caprio the middle finger, right there in open court, on camera, before a room full of witnesses. What follows isn't just a routine courtroom exchange. It becomes a clear reminder that respect for the judicial process is never optional, and that certain mistakes carry lasting consequences. Before revealing what came next and how Jennifer's act of anger reshaped her life, take a second to subscribe. Our community is nearing 600,000 subscribers, yet 97% of viewers still haven't joined Judge Stories. If you believe in respect, accountability, and the importance of maintaining dignity within the justice system, share your thoughts in the comments, because by the end of this video you'll understand why Judge Caprio's calm but powerful response became legendary. Let's begin. The arrogance begins. Here's a question worth asking. When did we, as a society, start forgetting that certain places and people deserve respect, regardless of personal feelings? What happened to Jennifer Hartwell shows that contempt of court isn't just a phrase, it's a boundary you should never cross. Tuesday morning, 10:45 a.m. Providence Municipal Court. The bailiff announces, Jennifer Hartwell, citation for speeding, 68 in a 45 mph zone. Jennifer enters confidently, almost arrogantly. She's dressed in a sharp designer suit, Armani most likely, with a sleek leather briefcase and a Rolex visible on her wrist. Her hair and makeup are flawless. Everything about her projects wealth and confidence. Yet beneath that polish, her body language radiates disdain. She approaches the podium with a dismissive air, glancing around the courtroom as though the setting is beneath her. When she has to wait for the judge to finish reviewing documents, her impatience shows in a subtle eye roll. Judge Frank Caprio looks up with his usual calm warmth. Good morning, Miss Hartwell. I see you're here for a speeding violation on Route 95. Please explain what happened. Jennifer's tone is cold and defensive. Your Honor, I was on my way to an important business meeting. The speed limit on that section of road is unreasonably low. Everyone drives between 65 and 70. I was simply keeping up with traffic. Her words don't sound like an explanation, they sound like a complaint, as if the traffic laws themselves are an inconvenience. Judge Caprio remains composed. Miss Hartwell, the officer recorded your speed at 68 in a 45 mph zone. That's 23 miles over the limit. That's quite significant. With all due respect, Your Honor, she replies sharply. That section of the highway was recently changed from 55 to 45. It's a revenue trap. And everyone knows it. The room grows tense. A few regular attendees exchange uneasy glances. It's clear she's testing the court's patience, though she doesn't seem aware of it. Judge Caprio's demeanor stays polite, but his tone gains firmness. Miss Hartwell, whether or not you agree with the speed limit, it is clearly posted. When you're driving 23 miles over the limit, you're endangering other drivers. Jennifer exhales sharply, the kind of sigh you give a child who's being deliberately difficult. Your Honor, she begins, I've been driving for 25 years without a single accident. I'm a safer driver at 68 than most people are at 45, the prosecutor interjects. Your Honor, for the record, Ms. Hartwell has 3 prior speeding violations within the last 5 years. 2 were paid and 1 was reduced through traffic school. Jennifer's face turns red with frustration. Those have nothing to do with this case. Judge Caprio glances at the file. Actually, Ms. Hartwell, they're quite relevant. They indicate a pattern of speeding violations. This isn't a single mistake. It suggests a consistent disregard for traffic laws. I don't habitually disregard anything, Your Honor, Jennifer insists. I simply have places to be, and these outdated speed limits don't match modern vehicle safety standards. The law is arbitrary, she argues, her tone rising. The courtroom grows tense. Even those unfamiliar with court proceedings can sense that Jennifer's defiance is working against her. Judge Caprio makes one more attempt to reason with her. Ms. Hartwell, I understand your belief that the speed limit may be too low, but the appropriate action is to petition the city council or traffic authority, not to disregard the law. With all due respect, Your Honor, I don't have time to challenge every poorly made regulation, Jennifer responds firmly. But you do have time to appear in traffic court multiple times, he replies evenly, without sarcasm. Jennifer, however, takes it as mockery. Subscribe to Judge Stories on YouTube if you believe that respect for the judicial system is the cornerstone of a civilized society. Judge Caprio then turns to the officer's report and reviews the traffic camera footage. Miss Hartwell, Officer Patterson reported that when he stopped you, you were uncooperative and initially refused to show your license. Is that true? I only asked why I was being stopped. That's my right. You certainly have that right. However, the officer's statement says you told him he was wasting your time and that you had more important things to do than deal with what you called inefficient traffic enforcement. Jennifer doesn't dispute it. I was late for a crucial meeting, Your Honor, one that cost my company money because I was delayed on the highway. Miss Hartwell, you were late because you were speeding. The officer didn't cause that. You made the decision to exceed the limit. The law is arbitrary. Judge Caprio's patience is thinning, though his tone remains calm. Ms. Hartwell, the law is not arbitrary. Speed limits exist to protect people. Believing you're exempt because you're in a rush doesn't make the rule meaningless. I never said I was above the law. Your behavior suggests otherwise. 4 speeding citations in 5 years. Arguing with an officer and now standing here implying the rules don't apply to you because you have important meetings. Jennifer's jaw tightens. Your Honor, I came here expecting fairness, not a sermon. Fairness is precisely what you're receiving. Miss Hartwell, the fine for driving 23 miles over the speed limit is $385, along with a mandatory driving safety course due to your previous offenses. $385. That's unreasonable. That's the statute. Miss Hartwell, the same one that applies to everyone who appears in this courtroom. Jennifer's face flushes with frustration. Her hands grip the podium so tightly that her knuckles turn white. This is ridiculous, she thinks. I manage a division at Northeastern Financial. I make decisions that impact hundreds of employees, yet I'm being treated like a criminal for driving 68 miles per hour on the highway. Judge Caprio's tone is firm but not harsh. Ms. Hartwell, your position and salary don't excuse you from following traffic laws. The person before you was a delivery driver earning minimum wage. Jennifer glares at Judge Caprio, her breathing quick and face flushed with anger. Then, in a moment of reckless arrogance fueled by frustration and pride, she makes a disastrous decision. She lifts her right hand and gives the judge the middle finger. The courtroom gasps. Several people murmur, "Oh my God." The bailiff steps forward and the court reporter's fingers freeze over the keyboard. Judge Caprio's expression changes instantly. The usual warmth and compassion vanish, replaced by calm, icy anger. Ms. Hartwell, he says in a steady voice that cuts through the room. Did you just make an obscene gesture toward this court? Realizing her grave mistake but refusing to yield, Jennifer lifts her chin. I expressed my opinion about this process, Your Honor. Wrong move, an incredibly poor choice of words. You expressed your opinion, Judge Caprio repeats slowly, by making an obscene gesture toward this court, in open session and on the record before witnesses. Jennifer stays silent, her face now showing the realization of how serious this has become. Ms. Hartwell, Judge Caprio continues, do you understand the gravity of what you've just done? I made a gesture, Your Honor, she replies quietly. Contempt of court, he declares. 30 days in jail, freedom of expression. The courtroom falls silent. Everyone realizes they are witnessing something serious, something far from ordinary. Judge Caprio rises from his seat. When he stands, it's clear that matters have escalated. Miss Hartwell, he begins, you didn't just insult me personally. You disrespected this court, the judicial system, and every citizen who values the rule of law. And you did it with intent and full awareness. Your Honor, You are not speaking anymore, Miss Hartwell. He interrupts firmly. You are listening. The authority in his tone brings immediate silence. In my 35 years on this bench, he continues, I've dealt with people who were angry, frustrated, frightened, and confused. I've shown compassion to single mothers struggling to pay fines. I've excused tickets for the elderly on fixed incomes. I've given chances to young people who made poor choices. He pauses. Do you know why? Jennifer stays quiet. Because they showed respect. Judge Caprio then turns to the bailiff. Bailiff, please approach. The bailiff steps forward as the judge raises his voice for the room to hear. Place Ms. Hartwell in custody. She is being held in contempt of court. Jennifer's eyes widen in disbelief. Wait, what? You can't. I absolutely can, Miss Hartwell. And I am, the judge replies. Two officers move toward her. Jennifer steps back, fear replacing her earlier confidence. Your Honor, please, I'm sorry. You didn't mean to disrespect this court? He cuts in. You raised your middle finger deliberately, Miss Hartwell. It was intentional. You knew exactly what you were doing. The officers now stand on either side of her. Her corporate composure has vanished, replaced by visible regret. Miss Hartwell, Judge Caprio declares, I am holding you in contempt of court. The penalty is 30 days in Providence County Jail, with the possibility of reduction to 10 days if you demonstrate sincere remorse and an understanding of why your behavior was unacceptable. The courtroom remains silent as she is escorted away in handcuffs. 30 days. Your Honor, please, I can't go to jail. I have a job and responsibilities. Judge Caprio's expression remains firm. You should have considered that before you chose to disrespect this court. Jennifer's voice trembles. Please, Your Honor, I made a terrible mistake. Don't do this, the judge doesn't waver. Ms. Hartwell, everyone who stands before this bench has made mistakes, that's why they're here. But most people show respect even when admitting fault. You, however, displayed contempt. I'm begging you. Your Honor, Jennifer pleads. The original fine of $385 is now raised to the maximum, $1,000, for excessive speeding with prior violations, the judge declares. You are also required to complete a 40-hour driver education course, and your license will be suspended for 90 days until the course is finished. Jennifer begins to cry, her mascara streaking down her cheeks. Please, Your Honor, I'll do anything. I'll apologize publicly, pay any fine, just don't send me to jail. Ms. Hartwell, the judge replies evenly. The time for apologies was before you made that gesture. Respect should have been shown when you entered this courtroom. Instead, you chose arrogance and defiance. The prosecutor stands and addresses the bench. Your Honor, for the record, Ms. Hartwell's contempt was witnessed by myself, the court staff, and roughly 40 people in attendance. It was intentional and unmistakable. Thank you, counsel, Judge Caprio responds. Ms. Hartwell, you will be processed and held for transfer to the county facility. Jennifer scans the room in desperation, hoping someone will intervene. No one meets her gaze. Everyone understands the outcome was of her own making. Your Honor, she says one last time, her voice breaking. I'm 42 years old. I've never been arrested. Please. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. Judge Caprio slowly takes his seat again, his tone firm but slightly gentler. Ms. Hartwell, he says, I'm going to tell you something important and I want you to listen carefully. Jennifer, still crying, nods. The contempt charge remains. You will be processed and detained. However, he pauses, I'm giving you one chance, just one, to show that you genuinely understand what you did wrong. A trace of hope appears on Jennifer's face. You will spend the next 72 hours in custody. During that time, you will prepare a detailed statement explaining why your actions were inappropriate, why respect for the judicial process is vital, and what you've learned from this experience. If your statement shows real remorse and understanding, not just fear of punishment, but a true grasp of why courtroom respect matters, I will consider reducing your sentence. Yes, Your Honor. I'll do it. Thank you. I'm not finished, Ms. Hartwell, he continues firmly. If your statement is self-serving, filled with excuses, or reveals that you still don't grasp the seriousness of contempt toward the court, you will serve the full 30 days. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. I understand completely. Bailiff, take Ms. Hartwell into custody. As officers escort Jennifer Hartwell out of the courtroom in handcuffs, her designer outfit now seems out of place. Judge Caprio turns to the courtroom audience. Ladies and gentlemen, what you've just seen is something I never take pleasure in. Holding someone in contempt and ordering jail time are decisions I do not make lightly. The courtroom listens intently, aware that every action taken here carries weight and meaning. This space stands for more than just individual cases. It symbolizes the rule of law. It embodies the belief that disputes must be settled through a fair and civilized system, not through power, wealth, or social standing. Judge Caprio gestures toward the empty podium where Jennifer stood moments earlier. Ms. Hartwell entered this courtroom believing her position, income, and busy schedule gave her the right to special treatment. When told she must follow the same rules as everyone else, she responded with a deep act of disrespect. Some may think that 30 days in jail is too severe for a single gesture, but that act wasn't merely impolite. It was a direct challenge to the integrity of our justice system. If people can display contempt for the court without facing consequences, we imply that the court holds no value. And if the court loses its authority, so does the law. Without law, we invite disorder. An elderly man in the back, likely in his 70s and wearing a veteran's cap, nods in agreement. Judge Caprio notices him. "Sir, I see you nodding. Would you like to share your thoughts?" The man rises slowly. "Your Honor, with permission to speak. My name is Robert Chen. I served in Korea and have been coming to this courthouse for nearly 40 years. I just want to say, you made the right call." A quiet murmur of agreement spreads through the room. "When I was young," Mr. Chen continues, "we were taught that some places demand respect by their very nature. The flag, the church, the courtroom. You show respect there, no matter how you feel. That woman," he pauses, shaking his head, "seems to have forgotten that, or maybe no one ever taught her." "Thank you, Mr. Chen," Judge Caprio replies warmly. "You're absolutely right. Respect for our institutions isn't outdated. It's fundamental." Another voice, a middle-aged woman, speaks. "Your Honor, I'm a high school teacher. I see this attitude every day. Students who believe rules don't apply to them because of their parents' money or social status. Watching that woman face accountability gives me hope." Judge Caprio nods. "That's exactly the point. We've created a culture where some think privilege excuses them from basic respect and decency. It doesn't. A corporate executive follows the same traffic rules as a delivery driver. A millionaire must show the same respect in court as anyone earning minimum wage. That's not oppression, it's fairness." He looks toward the audience. "Where are you watching from? Comment your city if you believe respect for the court should never be optional." Judge Caprio continues. "Ms. Hartwell will have 72 hours to reflect on her actions, to truly think about them, not just fear the outcome. If she emerges understanding why respect in a courtroom matters, I'll consider leniency. If she still believes she was treated unfairly, she'll serve the full sentence." He pauses before addressing everyone. "Here's what I want viewers to understand. This courtroom exists to uphold justice, but justice depends on respect for the process. You can disagree with a ruling, file an appeal, or even believe the judge made a mistake, but you must still respect the institution. Ms. Hartwell forgot that, or maybe she was never taught it. Now, she has 72 hours in a cell to learn what she should have known since childhood. Some places, people and institutions deserve respect, no matter how you feel in the moment." Judge Caprio lifts his gavel. "The next time someone enters this courtroom thinking their wealth or position excuses disrespect, I hope they remember Jennifer Hartwell. I hope they remember that contempt of court has real, immediate, and serious consequences." The court is in recess. The gavel falls. Subscribe to Judge Stories YT for more moments when justice stands firm and reminds us of lessons that should never fade. Jennifer Hartwell entered that courtroom as a corporate executive. She left in handcuffs, a reminder that respect for the law is non-negotiable and contempt of court is no small matter. Judge Frank Caprio demonstrated what many older Americans already understand. Some values are sacred. Some boundaries must never be crossed, and when they are, consequences must follow or justice itself begins to weaken. This is justice defending its own integrity.